So I think it's official now. Illpyo's my best boy. Sorry, Han. Han's still the man, but yeah, I think Illpyo might be best boy. This dude might be elevating God of High School to new heights for me because I just friggin' love this dude and his connection to Mo and just, I just love him. But with that said though, hello everybody, welcome back to our weekly God of High School discussion video. Today we're talking all about episode 10, Oath and Meaning. But before we get into this, quick reminder, if you haven't done so yet, to hit that subscribe button. And if you've already hit that subscribe button, might I point you in the direction to the join button that's just beside the sub button? You know, it gets yourself a fancy little badge next to your name in the comments and premieres, and you get some emotes to spam in said premieres. That sound cool? Go ahead and hit that join button. But without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into this. Oh man. Okay, so this episode is it's split into two halves, right? You have the stuff going on with every time I say Nox, I feel like I'm really close to saying Nux, and I'm expecting my boy to just appear out of nowhere. That said, this show would be very interesting if Nuxtaku was in it. But yeah, you have the stuff going on with Nox and God of High School, like the tournament, and then you have in the 6 and all that, and then you have what to me is the more interesting part of the episode, but like definitely not a knock against the other stuff. We'll get to that in just a sec. But you have Illpyo versus Mo, or more so the Seoul team versus the South other team. I've forgotten the name and I didn't write it down. I am a fool. I am embarrassed, but nevertheless here we are. But yeah, Illpyo's team versus Mo's team is basically the centerpiece of this week's episode. Maybe I shouldn't say centerpiece because something kind of big happens in the middle of this, but to me the most interesting thing and the thing I was most engaged with was specifically this, like what's going on in the tournament itself, more specifically Illpyo himself. We get when we open the episode, we actually get to see a little bit more of what makes Illpyo like the dude that he is by the time we see him. Interesting to note is that the character design has remained pretty much unchanged. In fact, it is completely unchanged, which I think is interesting. We don't really have a new character to really dig into. We do have Song Mandyuk, who I'm going to call Mandy, and no, you can't stop me. But we do have Mandy, but I didn't really get a great look at the character design, and honestly I was too hyped up about the Illpyo stuff to really do a character analysis this week. If you do want to see a Mandy character analysis the next time they appear, let me know in the comments, we'll go into it. But yeah, I was sort of intrigued by Illpyo's lack of a different character design in the past. Basically, to me, this signifies that Illpyo's character is pretty much unchanged between the start of the series versus where we are now, or at least before the start of the series to where we are now. A good way of usually showing that a character is still the same character you know is if in the past they're rocking the same outfit. This is just basically shorthand to say like, hey, this character is pretty much the same, but when it comes to Illpyo, the only thing that changes is that there's a new driving force pushing him into the God of High School tournament. Since he tells his buddy, Sungyeon, that, you know, he's gonna keep fighting. You know, he's always gonna keep fighting, and that's what pushes him, is the idea to keep getting stronger and stronger and yada yada, and that he has a promise to upkeep, right? Like, he said, like, I have a promise to somebody, or I made a promise to somebody, and I intend to keep it. So that's why I keep getting stronger. And Sungyeon basically hears this and gets confident in their own skills, and goes up against Jaws, which, like, oh god, it's Jay. As soon as I see him, first of all, I don't know whether the nickname Jaws or Jay is better, but we do run into Jagel in the past, right, in this flashback with Illpyo, and my boy Ill is feeling quite bad because he tells this girl Sungyeon, like, keep getting stronger and keep getting up. And this results in Jagel, who is a total dick, by the way. Jagel is a total asshole. We see later that he's working to, like, get the key for himself, you know? And even in this flashback scene, we see him, like, again, being, like, weirdly sexist. I feel like Park is really, like, the author really putting an emphasis on, like, this man does not like women fighters for some friggin' reason. I assume we'll get into it maybe in like his own, like in flashbacks of his own. But yeah, this dude has like an issue with women. Like I don't know what his issue is, but yeah, he don't like that shit. So he like breaks this girl's leg, and when I say break, I mean like he shatters it in 3 different pieces. And she will be able to walk, maybe, but fighting is pretty much off the table now. And this leads to that flashback we saw where Il is kicking the shit out of Jay, and everybody, like, you know, like the cops show up and they're like, stop it, and the whole time he's whooping his ass, right? He's not even really whooping his ass. It's like just like he's on top of him, feeding him fists, and he just keeps saying like, say you're sorry, like over and over again. And he says like, say you're sorry, like one last time really like loud, and Jay's like, what the hell is going on? What are you talking about? And you could tell that Il was punching Jay, but it was like he was beating himself up over what happened. I think he blames himself a bit, which is super sad. But it's part of the reason why he joins the God of High School tournament. Like, he feels like not only does he have a promise to fulfill, but also now he wants to win the tournament. Not only to find Mo again, but, you know, to fix his friend's leg. Like, that's, like, he feels a certain level of guilt. Which to me is interesting because it's vaguely Han-esque. And speaking of Han, Han actually gets into a fight with Sunya. I'm trying, guys. I'm trying. Han and we don't have a nickname for Sunya, so we're just gonna call her Sungya. And if I'm wrong, let me know. Or let me know a nickname even if I'm wrong. If you guys want to just be like, call her this, it's like whatever, sure. But I do want to make the effort to try, you know. But yeah, Han and Sunya, basically they have the first bout, right? And again, I do think it's particularly interesting that Han and Sunya is the fight that Illpyo is watching before his fight with Mo. Because basically both have to learn the same lesson of fighting for oneself, which I do think Illpyo needs to still work on. Like, he's still sort of trapped in that. Like, he does say, like, I'm fine now, and, like, walks into the ring to face off with Mo later. But he doesn't learn the lesson in the same way that Han does. Like, Han fully takes on that lesson, mostly because the dude he was fighting for is gone. Rip in pieces, my boy. Well, not in pieces, but rip in peace, my boy. Wrist in peace. Yeah. But yeah, rip in peace, my boy. But yeah, Han learned that lesson because he didn't really get the chance to not learn the lesson, you know what I mean? Like, the lesson was basically forced upon him. But Han did learn the lesson to fight for oneself, whereas I feel like Il is still working on it. Like, Il is still a work in progress, but I do think it's interesting that Han is the fight in which he is watching. It sort of puts it's a reminder to the audience that Han learned this lesson, and it sort of puts it in your head like, is Il really gonna learn the lesson by the end of the episode? And the answer is kind of yes, kind of no. But I do gotta say, this fight is particularly good. Sungya, I really love, I've already said this, I think she legit might have my favorite design of the entire cast. Now, I've said before, like, Park definitely gave us a design that I thought was hot garbage trash, garbage fire, dumpster fire. Every fire and dumpster and trash can that you can think of with friggin' knockoff Bride last week. But as I said the week prior, I absolutely loved Sungya's design. I thought her design is so great. Like, I just think it's the best. I love that design so much. So I was happy to see her have a fight with Han where she actually holds her own. I really like this character, and it's mostly the design, but I also love that she, like, listens to Il, right? Because Il's like, okay, listen, if you can land this first blow, you'll win. Unless he can fight back, in which case you'll lose. You have to land this first hit, and it has to be hard and decisive, right? And I'm thinking, like, okay, like, what is he talking about? So we see the two clash, and it's going, like, it's kind of going evenly, and then Sungya hits this right? She, like, kind of lands this right on him, and it's like, okay, like, she sort of hits him in, like, the side of the head, and he kind of blocks it a bit. But it's like, okay, what was that about? But when Han goes to punch Sungya, he misses, and I'm like, what the hell's going on? And in a really clever move, Il told Sunya to hit Han right near the ear canal, because it's gonna like shock his eardrum, and it's actually gonna throw off his equilibrium a bit. And I'm like, oh, that's so clever. Like the show has borrowed power, and yes, it goes kind of fantastical at times, but A, I love that shit. And B, I like that they still add in these like moments of like legit fighting tactics. It's like, oh, like that's a real thing you would do. Like that's so so sick. Unfortunately, Sunya does fall to Han, who seemingly uses a bit of borrowed power, which is neat. But in this moment, you get Sung-yun show back up, and Sung-ya and Sun-yun basically sort of relieve Illpyo of his guilt. It doesn't seem like it fully goes away, but they do tell him like, bro, you don't need to fight for me. Like it never should have been about me, never should have been about anybody else. Because even when Ill's watching Sung-ya, he says like, stop fighting, just you're gonna lose, just walk away. And she's like, walk away? What the hell are you talking about? Like, you could just tell he's nervous about other people getting hurt on his watch, because Ill's a good boy. But yeah, like, you could just see it in his eyes, like, he doesn't want this. And so when he gets given permission to just let go, he sort of does, but not completely, as we'll find out by the end of this fight. But now you get the fight with Mo, and this is super rad, right? Because Illpyo starts by acting super cold to Mo, and I'm thinking, like, Ilmo, first of all, Mopyo is clearly like the name of the ship, right? Ilmo sounds too much like Elmo. So Mopyo, I saw some people going like, you'll see later, like they're dynamic, I don't really ship it. I understand now where people are coming from, where they're like, oh, it's more of like like he's sort of like maybe like a mentor type character. He's trying to teach Mo, blah blah blah. And I respect that, but I'm still here for the ship. I am Mopyo 10,000%. Like this, I thought this episode, like when they showed the flashback, I'm like, oh, I think they're trying to show like more of maybe like I don't know, like some sort of like mentor type bond. I don't see it. Like I've seen some people say like it's kind of brotherly. I don't see that. That's not what I see. I see like a dude who, like, I see two people who are forever intertwined, right? And whether you want to view that as platonic or romantic, that's up to you. I'm going romantic. I'm going that route. You can view it however you want. I just ask that you don't come for me, because I ain't coming for you, right? Like, we can disagree on ships and still be civil. But yeah, I'm here for it. Just know that going forward. So when Il starts acting cold to Mo, I'm like, but the ship! You know what I mean? I'm like, but Mopyo, what are you doing? And thankfully, as I'm having this moment, I'm like, this seems really out of character, right? And I'm thinking, like, this seems really out of character. And as soon as I have that thought, I'm like, why would it be out of character? Like, why? And then I realized, oh, he's, like, goading him on, right? And I'm like, oh, and then like, a few minutes later, one of the characters on Ill's team, I can't remember the dude's name, but the guy, the jobber on Ill's team, is like, it's like he's teaching him in the middle of the fight. And I'm like, yep, because that's exactly what he's doing. He's goading Mo into trying to become better because he has such respect for Grandpa Jin, right? So he's like, okay, I have to get you into a place where you can be a respectable heir to Grandpa Jin, right? Like, I need to get you in this position. I told him if we ever reunited that I would guide you, and I'm gonna do just that. And it's like, oh, this is so sick. And I love the fact that they actually show a flashback between young Il and young Mo, where Mo is like crying and Il reaches out and sort of like puts his hand on his cheek, and it makes Mo laugh and smile. I'm like, this is adorable. Like, these two were forever, like, at least these two were always gonna be connected to some degree. So I really dig the fact that, like, these two, not only are they connected, but even, like, the families have been intertwined for a long time. Like, I find this shit really cute. And not even cute in terms of, like, romantic, although I do view it that way. I just find it, like, a nice sentiment that, like, these two were forever going to be connected, like, destined to reunite at some point. So Il trying to teach Mo how to basically how to beat him was really cool. And the action is just golden in this whole fight. It's marvelous to look at. And speaking of marvelous to look at, when things look their bleakest, and I'm like, Mo, my boy, I think this might be it. right? I'm like, you better do something, and you better do something quick. Mo was just like, hey, you know how people say I'm like Goku? I'm like, yes, Mo, I do. I say that all the time. And Mo's like, cool. I'm gonna do what Goku does, and I'm gonna steal techniques. And yeah, that's exactly what happens. And if you think that that's a knock, it is absolutely not. If I ever mention the fact that it's a reference to something, just know that I love references. It's my favorite, and I like connecting tissue between my favorite series. And one of my favorite things is Goku like learning techniques and picking them up and sort of incorporating them into his arsenal. And so seeing Mo, let me stress this, okay? Seeing Mo use swordless in the middle of this fight when he's losing, and Illpyo says like, you're not great in close combat. And Mo's like, okay, who is good in close combat? Oh shit, Mira's good in close combat. Fucking swordless. And I was like, what? Like when I saw the slash, I was like, slash? No. Like even before he said like the Moonlight Sword technique, like even before he said all that shit, I was like, as soon as I saw the blood, I was like, no way. I was so hype, right? And Mira being like, right? Like, wait a minute, I know that move. And then like so he goes like, okay, close combat solved, right? And then he's like, okay, you think I'm too predictable? Let me solve that too. Black Tortoise. And I was like, oh my god. Like I love it. I loved it. Seeing him use his friend's techniques, so dope. It was so great. And like just the whole teamwork aspect of the episode, I'm like, what team? Wildcat, I mean Soul Team. Right? I was like, hell yeah. Like it was so sick to see Mo actually incorporate the other's techniques into his own arsenal. God damn, it was marvelous. And Mo ends up pulling out a victory, you know, like even by using like a brand new technique, Jin Mori Original 3. It was super, super dope. I loved seeing Mo like make this comeback. But just when you think it's over, Ill has this sort of moment where he says, Taijin, your grandson has grown up like great, and he's marvelous and he's fantastic, but I can't lose here either. And he's suddenly visited by this like fox thing. And I'll admit that when I saw this, I was like, is that Amaterasu from Okami? Right? I was like, wait a minute, I know that character. It's not, but you know, that's what I thought at first. And then, as this is happening, fire erupts in the middle of the ring, like a pillar of fire. And I'm like, oh my god, what is that? And from the pillar of fire, just Ill comes out looking like this. Like, I'm like, oh my god, Ill has activated Sage Mode, right? Because, I mean, come on, it's a fox. It has, like, seemingly 9 tails. He's got the face paint, like, it's Sage Mode, it's Naruto. Ill is Naruto. Like, I'm like, oh my god, Ill is Naruto. I'm not saying that. No, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Like, it reminds me of Naruto. How about that? Or maybe God of High School reminds me of Naruto. I don't know who made Sage Mode first. But yeah, like that's. I'm just saying. I'm like, I like it though. I like it a lot. Like when Ill shows up, I'm like, okay, listen. I don't know what's about to happen, but I have a feeling, looking at my boy, an ass whooping is about to follow. Right? As soon as he emerged from that, I'm like, that don't look good. Like that it does not look good for my boy Mo. Like, I don't know how he gonna overcome this. It looks like a hella power up is what it looks like. And as this happens too, PM and Sung Mondyuk, who again I am nicknaming Mandy. Screw you if you don't like it. And Mondi, we'll say Mondi because Mondyuk. So PM and Mondi are like, oh shit. Like they just both feel the power. Well, PM is more like, oh shit, because he feels like the power awaken, right? And Mondi says like, the key has awakened, and I got chills, right? Because I'm like, wait, stop, what? I thought Mo was the key, right? Like, I literally had a moment where, like, I was like, wait, I'm stupid. This whole time I thought Mo was the key, but it was Ill the whole time? Like, Ill's the key? That's kind of dope, and it explains why Jaggle's like, the key will be mine, and I'm like, oh, he's talking about Ill! Like, oh my god, dude. Like, this whole scene was dope. And keep in mind, too, I've just been talking about the fight the whole time. I haven't even mentioned the sword, because that's like a whole other thing that happens. And I'll admit that at first when I saw this, I'm like, no, go away. Like when I saw the Nox narrative start to kind of rear its head. And Commish P, by the way, like down with what seems like a mortal injury, right? I'm like, is she mortally injured? Like, because I don't want my girl to go, because honestly, Commissioner P's pretty hot. But I was like, I hope she's not dead, right? Because she don't look so good. And PM does nothing, by the way. He's just like, hey, Commish P, all right? Anyway, I'll talk to you later. I gotta talk to Mondi over here, to Mondi Moore over here. Oh God, I'm really gonna bug some people with that, and I'm really sorry. I don't know why I am the way that I am. I just am. It is what it is, and it do what it be. And yeah, PM basically confirms that he knows who the leader of Nox is. And Nox like surrounds the God of High School stadium during the fight, and I'm not really gonna go too far into it just because I'm worried about my voice. I don't want to throw my voice up by talking too much, even though it is in the channel's name. But yeah, I was like, oh God, no, right? Like I had this moment of like, no, go away, because I thought they were gonna interrupt the fight. But no, they don't interrupt the fight. They just have their own cool ass friggin' borrowed power, holy shit, gods descending from on high fight. And PM like, my husbando, by the way, my evil husbando, looking cool as shit, like holding up the sword. This man PM holds the sword at bay. And I'm like, holy shit, dude. Friggin' Grandpa Jin couldn't defend from the sword. How the hell, right? So I'm like, oh my God, PM like defending the stadium. And as this is happening, So shows up, right? And So is also like already just, first of all, based off design, based off personality, I feel like I'm gonna love So. And then his power, where he like activates this like magic circle and starts like throwing shit through the circle, and it like basically puts unseen hands around the sword, and then he like comes out and bites the sword. And it's like the coolest shit ever. He has a band. This man comes with music accompaniment, right? And it's like the coolest thing ever. And as that's happening, again, the friggin' the Mo and Ill fight is happening, and the commissioners are fighting back Nox, and it's just all, it's a lot. It's just a lot. It's a lot. This is easily one of the most hype episodes of the whole show, and the show is mostly hype. I'll pretty much say that the show is mostly hype. I really dig it. I really dig it. I think the show stands up on its own. Like, I know people are quick to compare it to Tower of God. They're two very different shows. Like, they're both very hype, but they're hype in different ways, and one focuses more on hype, the other one focuses a little bit more on intrigue, and they're very different. And to me, like, the connection is they both have God in the name, and they're webtoons. Like, that is the connective tissue. To me, they're very different shows, and I think God of High School absolutely stands up on its own. I absolutely see why webtoon readers were like, bruh, you ain't ready. Because it is just hype upon hype upon hype every week, and it is phenomenal. But with that said, everybody, I'm going to wrap up my thoughts here. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed, then don't forget to boop that up snoot and share if you care. And of course, as always, I have to give a big, big thank you to the good folks in the T Squadron. Look at these beautiful people. Look at all of these beautiful names. And hey, if you would like to join these beautiful people, there is now 2 ways to do so. The first is by hitting that first link in the description to check out our Patreon page. And the second, for just a little bit more, is by hitting that join button next to the sub button to get yourself a badge and some emotes that you can use in the premieres, in the premiere chats, and you get that badge next to your name in the comments. Let everybody know that you're part of the T Squadron. Your name shows up at the end of these videos as well. Yeah, if you choose to do either one of those, thanks so much. It is super appreciated. But with that said, everybody, I gotta go calm down. I gotta go de-hype. So until next time, you stay classy, AnyTube, and wash your dang hands. Also, follow us on Twitch, dang it. Twitch.tv/JoJo Talks Too Much. It's also in the description. Come follow us on Twitch, dang it. Do the thing. Okay, goodbye.